Hey kids, we're a couple of annoyed grunt boys, and this is the 138th Simpsons podcast. That's right, we're the podcast that explores the animated sitcom The Simpsons from seasons 11 and beyond, and the newest ones when they're available. Why do we do it like this? Well, an entity known as the Wheel of Random has trapped us and forced us to watch a show in such a manner. Plus, there's plenty of other sitcoms that explore the quote-unquote golden age of The Simpsons, that being seasons 1 through 10. I say we because I'm one annoyed grunt boy named Steve, and with me, as always, is the other annoyed grunt boy,
Craig.
Hey Craig, how are we doing this week?
We're doing steamingly well, Steve. How about you?
We are doing wonderful, and this week, this episode that we're talking about features actress Natalie Portman, and coincidentally, I was doing my notes, and I saw that today, June 9th, the day of the record, is actually her birthday. It's really exciting and weird.
Yeah, happy birthday, Natalie. Oh, hold on. She's here. Thank you very much.
It's very nice. You sound great.
Gotta go.
See ya. Well, it's sad that we couldn't talk to her more, but, should we talk about her line of work?
I would love to do nothing more than that, Steve, but it's weird because we're recording this on the 9th, as you said, on her birthday, which means our listeners won't get to hear this till the 12th. So I think we should rather talk about another actor or actress who was born on June 12th.
Timothy Busfield?
And you know who was... Excuse me?
Timothy Busfield?
Timothy Busfield?
Yeah, he was born on June 12th.
How do you know this?
He's one of America's finest actors.
All right, well, if you want to talk about Timothy Busfield, let's talk about Timothy Busfield.
Our first guest on the program tonight plays Elliot on the popular series 30-something and is also in the Academy Award-nominated film Field of Dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is. Welcome back to the show, Tim Busfield.
I mean, I love his work, in both Aftermath and Trapper John M.D.
I think he rose to fame for 30-something, was his, big television role, right?
Yeah. That and his one episode of Matlock, where he played Adam Gardner.
It's funny, he's in a couple baseball movies, which Little Big League, which I've never seen, and then Field of Dreams, which is probably one of my favorite movies.
It's a classic.
And did you know he actually did play baseball? He was semi-pro teams.
Wow.
He was a pitcher. He did make the Sacramento Baseball Hall of Fame for that.
Very cool. I mean, he's had a huge line of work from movies and TV, but I think I'll always know him from a beloved show directed and written by Aaron Sorkin. Of course, I'm talking about Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, where he played Cal Shanley for 22 episodes.
Which I think they only had 13 episodes.
Exactly. That's how good it was.
And of course, Tandy Concannon in The West Wing.
Oh, yeah, that too.
And not forgetting Steve's favorite movie and movie franchise. He played Arnold Poindexter in Revenge of the Nerds and Revenge of the Nerds 2, Nerds in Paradise.
I love it.
Definitely up there as one of our great character actors.
That is true. He's quite a character, and he is an actor. And there's a connection to Natalie Portman because he played Star-Lord in 10 episodes of Marvel Wastelander's Old Man Star-Lord. And, Natalie Portman was also in the Thor movies. Steve,
every time he sees those movies, he has to wear glasses because it makes his eyes Thor.
Jeez.
Is this thing on?
Yes, that's just the content out of it is not great.
I feel like he's never been in an actual movie with Natalie Portman.
I would say probably...
No, I guess not. Well, Timothy Busfield, one of these days, we gotta get him on The Simpsons.
That's true, but, not today. Because while we celebrate Timothy Busfield today, really today's episode is from a different time.
That's right, Steve. Happy birthday, Timothy Busfield.
Happy birthday. And speaking of time, let's go all the way back to February 11th, 2007. Craig, what was the number one movie in the box office?
Why, it's everyone's favorite Eddie Murphy movie, Norbit.
Ah, yes. That is
this another
a movie.
One where he puts a fat suit on?
Yes. I think he plays all the characters in the movie, notably an overweight black woman.
All right. Sounds like Noah could ever do that bit, that he's the only one who could pull off being an African American, putting on a fat suit, and being a woman.
Yeah, no one could do that. Certainly not, I don't know, Martin Lawrence. Yeah,
I was thinking more Tyler Perry.
Oh, that's true too.
He's not replaceable, Steve.
You would say that he's irreplaceable.
I sure would, Bay.
Which leads us to our number one song on the Billboard Hot 100, Irreplaceable by Beyonce.
I didn't download the music this time, Steve, so we're just going to do the bit as we always have.
Alrighty.
This is a very hot day here in Portland.
Really is.
You know what I could use right now instead of all this heat?
Some cocaine?
Yes. Wait a minute. Weren't the Red Hot Chili Peppers the last week too? And that was from like 2000. That was from 1999.
Yeah, they had a run of bad music that was very popular in the early 2000s.
Cattleman. Remove I there.
You Confederate baby chickens.
Steve, what am I trying to say?
That's right, the number one country song on the list is Cowboy Take Me Away by the Chicks, formerly the Dixie Chicks.
They should be banned, Steve. The Chicks, I'm sorry. They should just be banned. They should be something if you listen to, you'll go to jail.
Yes, and if President George W. Bush had his way, they would have been. But luckily at the time, they were not considered illegal. And neither should these people, because the number one hot dance electric song was Illegal by Shakira, featuring Carlos Santana, who was also on last week's chart.
So the early 2000s, Carlos Santana, Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's all you need to remember.
That is right.
All right. Let's just get on with this week's episode, Steve.
All right. Today we're talking about the 12th episode of the 18th season, Little Big Girl, in which Lisa is chosen to represent her school at City Hall after embellishing her heritage as an American Indian for a school project. Meanwhile, Bart gets a driver's license. All right, let's check it out. We'll be right back. And we're back. Today we're talking about Little Big Girl, the 12th episode of the 18th season. It is episode 390 in the show's run. It originally aired on February 11th, 2007. Your nerd code is JABF04. It was written by Dawn Payne, directed by Raymond S. Persi, and your showrunner is Al Jean.
All right, Dawn Payne. We have discussed him multiple times. Wrote along with John Frink. This will be the 10th one that he's reviewed. And we have talked about him quite a lot in those times. Not a lot of times off the episode, if he hasn't written an episode. But, yes, we have talked about how Mr. Payne left this mortal coil in 2013. And he, besides writing for episodes of The Simpsons, we always bring up that he is a co-writer for a lot of the superhero movies. Especially the first two Thor movies, which starred, let me check here my notes, Natalie Portman, who plays Darcy in this episode, but Darcy was the name of the character from the first two Thor movies played by Kat Dennings.
Wow, that's amazing.
So does Dawn Payne have a thing for ladies named Darcy?
I think so. Maybe he really loves Pride and Prejudice.
I was going to say, Married with Children.
Oh yeah, I was thinking that too.
Marcy Darcy.
Exactly.
It would be Jefferson Darcy.
Whoa, oh my god, Jefferson Darcy. I think that might be a Pride and Prejudice reference also. I never thought about that. I never put the two together.
You don't think of, like, the Pride and Prejudice with, like, the talents of American literature classics of Married with Children.
Exactly. I don't think of Hooters when I think of Jane Austen.
We do have a Patreon. Obviously, this is the only way people are listening to us right now, unless it's
right.
YouTube. Is Married with Children up there with reviewing episodes of that?
I kind of think so. Just because I feel like it's a better written show than it needs to be.
Yeah.
Okay, so I always, associate it with Roseanne because they're both, lower income white people from the Midwest. But to me, I always thought of Married with Children as you're kind of laughing along with them. It's more of a satire, a spoof of society. Whereas Roseanne just always felt like a bummer, like this is real life. And so I always like Married with Children more because it was it's the characters were in on the joke.
There were so many family sitcoms in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I really felt like it was that parody of Family Ties.
Yeah. And of course, Alex P. Keaton was never Grandmaster B or whatever Bud Bundy's rapper persona was.
Right. It was the Fox network. So we're going to have family sitcoms, but they're going to be raunchy.
Yeah. Not your daddy's sitcom.
But it was my dad watched it all the time.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to watch it. We discussed this years ago, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like I wasn't allowed to watch it, but I would sneak downstairs, watch The Simpsons, and then wait till Married Children came on and get in trouble because I was supposed to go to bed.
Yeah, and then they'd wake you up to watch Herman's Head as a family.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, Don Payne. The episodes that he has credited on, of course, Simpsons Tall Tales and Treehouse of Horror, 11, The Bart Wants What the Bart Wants, Old Yeller Belly, The Wandering Juvie, Frogcast News, Thank God It's Doomsday, Simpsons Christmas Stories, Love Springfieldian Style. We still have a couple more that we haven't reviewed, so Don Payne will still be with us in the future, even though he's left us in the past.
That's true, and before we get into the episode, I want to note two things that I noticed about Don Payne episodes. One, he loves the stunt casting, because we have, like, Insane Clown Poppy with Drew Barrymore as Krusty's daughter. We have this episode, which features Natalie Portman. We have The Bart Wants What It Wants, which has Rainier's Wolfcastle's daughter. And The Wandering Juvie, which has Sarah Michelle Gellar. And in The Wandering Juvie, The Bart Wants What It Wants, and this episode, Bart has a crush on a girl usually older than him. So it's just weird that Don Payne lives in that world so much.
Yeah, I was really thinking of that episode with Sarah Michelle Gellar, and like listening to Natalie's voice, like it kind of has the same similar cadence as Sarah Michelle Gellar's voice.
It's true.
I would probably get these episodes confused. I'm like, oh, there's the one with Natalie Portman or the one with Sarah. But I honestly didn't know Natalie Portman had done a voice on The Simpsons until I watched this episode. And I've seen it before probably, but it's just, I never thought that, oh, of course she would have done an episode of The Simpsons. I'm not saying of course, but
yeah,
it's a rite of passage. She's a millennial like us.
Mm-hmm.
Her probably grew up watching The Simpsons and eating ass.
Sure, of course.
I mean, we're just like Natalie Portman. Don't you remember when we were like 13 starring in major motion blockbuster movies?
Exactly. And Moby said that I had sex with them.
Well, you do kind of look like Moby.
That's true. And he likes The Simpsons. I have a weird memory of, and again, we'll get to the episode, but in the 90s watching an episode of MTV Cribs, and he lived in a high-rise apartment in New York that was formerly a butcher shop, and he kept all the butcher tables, and he thought it was hilarious because he was vegan, and he had nothing else in his apartment except for a single Bart Simpson action figure. And that was the only thing, and it just struck me as funny.
But Moby did a voice on The Simpsons, right?
I believe he did, yeah.
All right. What's that line from that Eminem song where it's like, Moby, you could get stomped by Obi? I forget what it was.
Probably Obi Trice from the D12 rap collective.
Right. Yeah. I think it's because like Natalie Portman was like really into that kind of like music that Moby made.
Mm-hmm.
Do you consider that like, what kind of music style is that? Like not electronica. It's electronica, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that EDM is like what people think of when you say electronica, because that is more of the like club dance music, but electronic covers a wide swath of music.
Right. I just remember, again, we'll get to the episode
shortly
here, but speaking of Natalie Portman, I just remember as a kid, because we're the same age as Natalie,
mm-hmm.
that it was okay to like have a crush on her, because like, wow, there's a, like 15-year-old girl who, we were 15-year-old girls.
Right.
Like, I mean, 15-year-old boys, but like, yeah. Like, well, obviously she'd want to date me, so how am I going to figure out what she likes? And I remember like reading like articles, like she's really into like Moby or like Portishead. So I'm like, I'm going to start getting into Portishead. I could never get into Portishead. Sorry,
yeah. There's so much media that I consumed as a teenager because I thought girls would like me if I did.
That was me too. I'm like,
yeah.
Some kid from Portland, Oregon who thinks like Natalie Portman's going to fall in love with him. How? Don't know.
Yeah, I should have watched the X-Files because all the girls that I had crushes on Mulder.
Well, my mom said I looked like Mulder.
And
she never did, Steve. That was a reference to Simpsons, how like Milhouse is... But yeah, should we just get into this week's episode, Steve?
Alrighty, and we'll start with a couch gag in which the Simpsons are paper dolls standing in their underpants. And then a pair of hands dressed as a family, and they all happily sit down.
Like, is paper dolls, like, especially growing up as kids, like, was paper dolls associated as, like, a girl thing, or were boys okay to play that?
I feel like it was primarily a feminine thing, but I also feel like they had boy versions in the 80s just because cartoons were such a marketing machine. So I feel like I remember having, like, either a He-Man or maybe a G.I. Joe version of a paper doll where you put, like, different battle wear on them.
Yeah, I'm having that memory too, and I always thought they were kind of fun, as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I wonder if they had, like, DC superheroes where you could, like, haha, Superman's now wearing Batman's outfit. How fun is that?
Yeah, the Joker is Superman.
Well, they should be making actual Simpsons paper doll merch.
Ooh.
All right, Steve, I'm done talking about paper dolls.
All right, let's just get on with the episode.
Well, Steve, our episode begins, as it always does, with everyone in the family, except, of course, Bart, enjoying a quiet day in their living room. Marge is reading the self-help book, Nagging Your Way to Ecstasy, while Homer is asleep in his chair, snoring loudly. Lisa is on the floor, struggling with her homework when Marge asks what she's working on.
Oh, what's the matter, sweetie?
Tomorrow's multicultural day at school.
Oh, what do they want?
I've got to give a presentation about our family's heritage, but ours is so boring.
Yep, the Simpsons have never married or even shook hands with anyone interesting. In a world of 31 flavors, we're the cup of water they rinse the scoops in. Grandpa out.
Aw, Grandpa. We should take lots of pictures of him while we still can.
Camera's broken.
Hey, Lise, check it out. With some clever scissor work, I can make the Lakeland Butter Indian maiden show me her boobs. Clean, dirty. Clean, dirty. Clean, dirty.
Bart, stop that. Native Americans are a proud people with a noble heritage. A noble heritage that anyone can claim.
Homer's passed out sleepy comments. Pretty good.
Mm-hmm. I also like the subtle disses between Abe and Marge, because Abe said that the Simpsons have never even, like, shook a hand with anybody interesting, which is kind of a diss to Marge. But then Marge comments about how Abe's going to die soon, so it's like little jabs.
I mean, there's many of famous people that they have shaken hands with.
Oh, yeah.
At least 2 ex-presidents, right? Did he ever shake George Bush's hand?
I think so at some point.
Yeah. Gerald Ford, I mean, they shared nachos and beer together.
And other great men like Mel Gibson and Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, not yet, Steve.
Oh, yes, that's true.
But Michael Jackson?
Yeah?
Or has he, Steve?
I don't remember that at all.
No. If only you had a piece of round plastic disc that still had those memories.
Indeed. I know that this was like a visual gag with the Land O'Lakes butter.
You mean Land of Lakes butter, Steve?
Sorry, Land of Lakes, yes.
Copyright.
But of course, that is a real thing that people did, where you take 2 boxes of the butter and you'd cut out the knees to make them look like breasts. And this is something that I knew about, that I learned from an episode of Late Night with Conan O'Brien from 2001, in which Amy Sedaris, who's a hilarious person, was a guest, and she did it for Conan, and it was like one of the funniest things I'd ever seen.
At that time, you'd seen Weekend at Bernie's too, right?
Exactly, multiple times.
Wow. But sadly, the Land O'Lakes character, let's name her Mia. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Because that was her name, right? The name they gave her?
It was, and now she's missing in action.
Ah. Gotta get rid of stereotype things, right?
Yeah, that's also when they moved away from like Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben and the rest.
What did Peter Parker think about that?
I think he was pretty upset because, he already lost Uncle Ben once, or twice, or 3 times, depending on when you read it. Bart continues his creative crafting, cutting up a box of Rice Krispies, so Snap can perform some sort of act on Pop, while Crackle, always the cuck, watches. Meanwhile, Lisa works on her report saying that her great-great-great-great-grandmother, I think that the great joke belongs in joke jail, was a Native American. And then Lisa tries to think of a name of the tribe her relative was in, and looks over to the microwave for inspiration. She takes the appliance's brand, Hitachi, and claims it to be her heritage's tribe. Of course, today, Hitachi is best known for creating a vibrating massager that really works the clitoris.
I believe you, Steve. I want to talk about something here. When Bart dusts up with Snap, Crackle, and Pop?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think he is making them do? Because, spoilers for this episode, he doesn't know what sex is.
That is true.
Is it just like maybe he's punching him?
I'm looking at different images of Snap, Crackle, and Pop, and one of them is holding a big spoon. So even if you don't know what sex is, maybe he realizes that Snap could stick a spoon up Crackle's ass, or Pop's ass, rather.
I'll allow it, Steve.
All right.
Well, with a pang of guilt, Lisa looks at her reflection in the kitchen window, asking herself if it is wrong to appropriate the culture of a long-suffering people. Her image replies saying that it would be wrong if she got a C on her project, thereby winding up in a third-rate college, and the world needs her to attend Wesley. Lisa agrees with all of her imagination, but realizes she'll need to find traditional clothing to wear. So using Marge's beloved corn, or maize, curtains, Lisa makes a dress.
Okay. So at Springfield Elementary, Lisa wears that corn curtain dress, as well as some face paint, to really sell her assumed lineage. Her inner speech, Lisa claims that her people were nearly eliminated due to warfare, disease, and the greed of the invading Europeans. And Nelson takes an offense of that, wishing Lisa a sarcastic Guten Tag, and then donning his Triolorian hat and grabbing his Bierstein and Wiener dog, and storming off. The rest of the participants of Multicultural Day stay, including representatives for the Japanese, the Jewish, Australian, Italian, Canadian, Brazilian, British, and African, which is very broad, and also Ralph is dressed like a dog.
Lisa finishes her presentation saying that there are only a handful of Hitachi left, and their detailed genealogical records were destroyed by the white man. She adds that any research about her supposed tribe would be the ultimate insult. Skinner praises Lisa, saying that hers was the best project of the day. Dolph has pride in his own heritage, which evidently involves the lip discs, traditionally worn by the Mercy and Suri tribes of Ethiopia, among others. Skinner tells the bully that he should be proud. It seems that Lisa was successful in her ruse, but in this clip's perhaps a little too successful.
The city's Multicultural Council has invited one lucky student to perform at City Hall. Lisa, you'll be representing us and the noble Hitachi people.
Oh, great! I'd love to.
Mm-hmm.
Why did I have to lie about my heritage? By speaking with forked tongue, I am in heap big trouble. And now I'm thinking in stereotypes? That's even worse! Ah!
Must be the war cry of her tribe.
Probably. Now get me some coffee.
So I'm just a boring white guy, and I don't know that I have any lineage for indigenous people, but so it might not be my place to say, but I feel like this is kind of problematic. The broken English, the war tribe, the war cry. We're dealing with a lot of stereotypes here.
How are you feeling about the Dolph?
Yeah, that also seems a little not great. Because it's the whole, like, saying that, like, white American is normalcy, and anything outside of that is the weird other.
This isn't actually a problematic thing, Steve, so we'll get away from that because we are two white guys that really shouldn't talk about race. But when Skinner is, at the end of that clip, explaining this to Chalmers, and then Chalmers just says, now give me some coffee, like, how's that a joke?
It's not. It's just, we need to wrap up the scene. Okay.
Like, he could have just, like, went, or something, like, just nodded.
Yeah, it's weird.
Wasted animation and voiceover work.
It's true.
I feel like the Simpsons need to say things to make a joke.
Yeah, especially to end a scene, like...
Well, Steve, give me some coffee.
Happily. Well, in a barn, Cletus milks a cow when Dylan, one of his many children, excitedly tells him that he got a C- on his multicultural report. He holds up the project, which is the Spuckler family tree, which depicts Cletus and Brandine hooking up with an alien and siring 10 children, a sheep, and a hot dog with legs. The yokel is proud of his son and calls for Brandine to empty out the tub to make some celebratory rum. Sadly for Cletus, Brandine is still using the tub to drown rats. The yokel then asks if she's drowning the rodents or making love to them.
So Cletus walks away, but not before tugging on the cow's tail. This leads to a series of events unfolding as Raymond Scott's powerhouse plays. So here's what happens. The cow kicks the chicken, causing it to drop an egg.
The egg rolls towards an axe, which cracks it open, revealing a baby chick.
The chick stumbles out of the barn and then is grabbed by a falcon.
The falcon flies into the air, where it is grabbed by a bald eagle.
The chick is dropped, landing in a chimney.
The chick emerges from the burning fireplace, rolling on a log which is in flames.
The chick rolls out of the Spunkler house, back into the barn where it sets a pile of hay on fire.
The chick panics and leaps, grabbing onto the cow's udder.
The cow kicks a bucket, spilling milk, extinguishing the fire.
So Cletus witnesses all this and is so stunned his jaw drops. This causes his corncob pipe to fall to the ground, where it sets some dry grass on fire.
And the flames then circle the barn and follow a path down a hill, using a raft to cross the stream to go to their side. Now, here's a joke punch-up. There should have been a fox, a chicken, and a bag of grain on that raft.
Ooh, that's great. Classic riddle. I love it. Yeah.
They should have added that, got rid of the Skinner and Chalmers exchange, because it wasn't funny.
I like that. Yeah, that's a much better joke.
Only because there's so much, like, stupid, silly, out-of real-world things that happen in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference of a fire all of a sudden having hands and putting the chicken in the,
I mean, it literally hopped onto a raft.
Yeah.
So, yeah. The fire spreads through Springfield, opening the gates of the Burns mansion.
And Waylon Smithers is on fire and runs to Monty, begging for help, and Burns, who is preoccupied with washing his classic car, wonders why he should help with Waylon when he doesn't do anything to help him. Waylon shouts that he is flaming, and then Burns turns off his hose, puts his chin in his hand, and breaks the fourth wall, staring at us. And in the background, Smithers is using the stop, drop, and roll method to put out the fire.
I actually really enjoyed this whole fire gag. It's really stupid, but it's just so complex. It's a lot of fun. I thought it was really funny. And then to cap it off with Burns mugging at the camera, I liked it. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. This is, what's the main reference that this is parodying?
You mean the Burns?
Yeah.
Jack Benny is who it's referencing, because he would, like, make a quip and then put his hand like that and stare at the camera back in the 50s.
Okay. Well, we're too young. We don't understand those references because we were both born in, let's say, 1997?
Oh, 1900s. We're still very old.
Okay, 2007?
Better.
All right.
So the fire reaches the playground at Springfield Elementary, where Principal Skinner instructs groundskeeper Willie to put out the fire before it reaches the tetherbell pole. Sadly, the Scotsman is unable to contain the fire, since all the fire extinguishers have disappeared. Seymour looks to see that the fire extinguishers have been stolen, so he gives Willie some wet wipes to do the job. But the wipes prove to be ineffective, as they are drier than a Charles Grodin quip.
Charles Grodin, of course, is the father of Beethoven.
That's right.
Charles Grodin, if you ever want to see some fun stuff, watch his interviews with when he was on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
That's right.
He was one of the better guests because he always came on as kind of a pompous asshole. That was the character he played against Johnny Carson. And Charles Grodin was actually a really funny dude. So
He was, but he played that character so well that I always thought when I was a kid that he was an asshole, because I knew him from that and from Beethoven, as you mentioned, where he plays like the no fun guy. And so as a child, I was like, that guy's no fun.
He was in Clifford with Martin Short, which is a really weird movie, but I kind of enjoyed it.
It's an unappreciated classic because, yeah, it's really weird.
Skinner is left to wonder what monster or pair of monsters would steal fire extinguishers. We then see that those monsters are Bart and Milhouse. Ha, I knew it, Steve. So they have tied the fire extinguishers to a red wagon. And Bart hopes that his plan will be successful and that he'll go faster than any 10-year-old has ever gone. So he puts on a helmet, hops in the wagon, and pulls the rope tied to the extinguishers. So he blasts off, leaving Milhouse in a cloud of white goo. That will be the first time Bart's left white goo all over Milhouse.
Ay, caramba!
What's the cum and I cum rumba? I don't know. So as Bart blasts down the road, the people in downtown Springfield are still trying to put out the fire. The flames are attacking local businesses such as Kevin's Kindling, Mike's Methane Mart, and Just Match Heads. All very funny. Lenny sees that the fire is headed to the flammable district, and Carl's concerned as that is where their mom works. Their mom singular, as in they share the same mom.
It was really funny. Luckily for Lenny, Carl, and their mom, Bart arrives just in time, shouting that his last words will be "Lisa sucks." He zooms through the town, leaving a trail of fire retardant behind him, dousing the flames and inadvertently saving the day. The people gather around Bart, and Sideshow Mel declares him to be a hero. So at Moe's instruction, they hoist Bart up and chant his name.
So Mayor Quimby wants to show the city's gratitude towards Bart, so they grant him one wish. And Bart thinks for a moment, and a thought bubble reveals his desires. He first imagines his face on a $5 bill, then being hooked up to a squishy IV, and then there's a line of people standing in line behind a red velvet rope, all eager to kiss his butt, including Nelson, Skinner, Mrs. Krabappel, the Flanders Boys, Homer, and Harry Potter.
Bart then envisions driving a sporty red convertible down a ramp as James Bond-style-esque music plays, and his daydream, he drives his car off the ramp, slam dunking a basketball, hanging onto the rim while still in the car. And Bart's lower body is very, very strong because he's able to
Indeed.
hold the car up with his feet, his legs. Anyway, it's good. Well, back in reality, he shares what his wish really is.
That's it. I want a license.
To kill?
No, to drive.
Suit yourself. Do you wish to be an organ donor?
No way. I don't want my guts touching some sick guy.
Well, you make a good point.
I agree.
Oh, this is a bad time for me to have massive organ failure. Where do you think you're going?
The beginning bit with Quimby offering him a license to kill. It's pretty funny. Would you rather have a license to drive or a license to kill? On one hand, it's really easy to get one of them. The other one, you gotta go to class and you gotta learn how to parallel park and park around a corner. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I don't want to go to the DMV. I want to murder, so... I also really like Bart's logic about not being an organ donor because he doesn't want his organs to be in some sick guy.
I don't want to ask if you're an organ donor or not because someone might want to come kill you and take your organs. But I know there's that fear of like a lot of people are afraid to be organ donors because the rumor is like EMTs will look and say, oh, he's an organ donor. Let's not worry about him because we could save like 12 other people instead of this one person. That's why a lot of people don't want to be organ donors. It's just like superstition, or like not superstition, but like this fear that like maybe they don't want to save one person because they can save more people with the organs.
Well, I will say that I am an organ donor, and I have a lot of issues with the death enterprise business, like funeral homes and all that, which is another topic. But I don't think that's true with the EMTs. But even if it is, if they can use my body for better things than what I'm using it with, then why not?
Yeah. Well, I believe you too, Steve. So I'm not going to say if I'm not, because I don't know. What if like one of our listeners wants to kill us and take my very pickled liver?
I mean, it's probably pretty big, so
yeah,
you can probably just share it with a bunch of people.
That's not my stomach that's sticking out of my... That's my liver.
All right, so Bart drives down the road with Homer in the passenger seat. Homer can't believe that it's finally time to take his son for his first driving lesson. A car pulls in front of them, and Homer instructs Bart to pull alongside the jerk that cut them off. Homer yells, "Eat Marshall Tucker, idiot!" and then flings CDs at the other vehicle. Homer then sees that it's Marge behind the wheel, so he screams and tells Bart to step on it.
Well, Steve, then we rewind the entire episode and go back to the beginning for the credits. You see, we didn't have a chalkboard gag in the beginning because it's in the middle of this episode.
That's right.
Bart writes, "So long, suckers," which I think is... I'm a little mad they put it in this episode, because that should have been for the very final episode, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So he's writing on the board, and then I know what's going to happen, because I remember this, or I just, what's going to happen. So when the bell rings, instead of the skateboard, it's just him in the car, crashing through the door. Very funny visual gag. And so it's the same way of like him, instead of on a skateboard, but in a car, continue down the street, hitting Hal, Lovejoy, Apu, Mo, Barney, Jacques, Jasper, Beardsley, and Chief Wiggum. And then he goes to the driveway of 742 Evergreen Terrace, where Homer steps out of the station wagon, which is weird because we never really see him drive that.
That's true.
And then is fatally crushed by Bart's car, which lands out of nowhere like on the skateboard.
Pretty good.
It's really funny, yeah. A good parody of the Simpsons couch gag or intro scene is nice.
I always like that, and yeah, they did good with that. So outside of the Springfield Multicultural Center, symbols of various peoples are displayed. There's a sombrero, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, the Eiffel Tower, a shamrock, a totem pole, a yin-yang symbol, the pyramids, and of course the head of Darth Vader. Inside, Lisa tells the great achievements of her fake tribe that they falsely accomplished, such as inventing women's lacrosse, soft luggage, and that thing where you're walking and someone's walking towards you, and you each step from one side to another, and both go the same way until one of you actually goes around. She then states that her tribe had 7 words for that occurrence.
Do you know what that's actually called?
No.
Me either, Steven. I thought you would have done the research.
Ah, damn.
Let's just call it silliness.
It is silliness.
Homer's mind is blown, and the rest of the audience is pleased. With her presentation done, Lisa is eager to leave, suggesting that her research may not be entirely accurate.
Show's over. Let's go.
What's your hurry?
Well, some of my report, wasn't thoroughly fact-checked.
My little girl's just like CBS News.
Lisa, it was wonderful. I am such a proud Hitachi mother.
Lisa, hi, my name is John Squawking Bear. I'm a reporter for the Chippewa Bugle. Happen to have today's. You know, I thought I knew all the lost tribes. I've never heard of the Hitachi.
Yes, we're among the lostest.
Uh-huh. Where were you centered?
Centered. You know where the 4 states come together?
Oh, quite well.
Not there, not even close.
In the name of the great turtle, will you answer the question?
We were southwest of North Dakota, Lahoma.
Very good. Well, I'd better get to my office before my boss, screaming editor, gets mad. I kid, but he's a real jerk.
Now, is the reporter Hank, or is it Dan, or is it...
That's Hank. And yeah, I think that it is kind of the same one as like in the casino. And it is like reusing that kind of joke of using stereotypical names like the editor or, Crazy Horse, like that kind of thing.
Well, this was going to ask, is that actually the editor's name? Because he says at the end, he's like, of course I'm kidding. He's a real jerk. Like,
oh, yeah.
I guess it is for the Native American newspaper, so it probably would be. But still.
Yeah.
It's kind of lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we're white kids that shouldn't talk about stuff, because I have like 0% Native American in my blood, so I can't even fake it like Lisa.
That's right. Well, back at home, Bart tells his parents that he's leaving to complete a 1,000-mile Baja road race. Homer stops him, saying that he needs to pitch in if he wants to continue driving. So Homer hands him a clamshell cell phone, which was popular at the time, which he'll use whenever he needs Bart's driving services. And he shows off the ringtone, a MIDI version of Beethoven, speaking of Charles Grodin, for Elise.
Bart answers the phone, and Homer whispers to him, even though they are standing next to each other. So he tells Bart to go to the gas station, telling them that he needs to inflate his tires, but that he should actually inflate a bag of volleyballs. He then tells Bart to throw the balls over the wall of the prison to create a chaos and confusion. Speaking of confusion, like, we know Homer's like a moron.
Sure.
That's the correct term, but is he like always doing weird antics all the time? Like, what's this for the prison? I don't get it.
Yeah, it just seems like to be like a random like act of weirdness, like something like Mr. Mxyzptlk would do. Like,
yeah.
It's not like actually like evil. It's just like kind of devious and bratty.
Right.
But I kind of like it in today's button-down society. Like, we need more Homers creating chaos and confusion.
Sure. We'll go with that.
That evening, Bart is awoken by a call from a drunken Homer. He needs a ride home as he is stuck in Chinatown, but not the one in Springfield. Later, Bart drives Lisa around. She criticizes his driving technique, causing him to consider exposing her lies.
Slow down. You're too close to that car. Your hand should be at 10 and 2, not 3 and nothing.
You know, it'd be a real shame if someone started investigating your Indian heritage.
I'll be good.
Oh, man. What now?
Boy, I don't want to freak you out, but I'm calling from inside the trunk. That was me. Some very uncool people put me in here.
This sucks. Can't do anything fun because I'm doing so many stupid errands. Shut up, shut up, shut up!
Ah, it's dark in here!
Oh, I gotta get out of this town for a while. Time to put the pedal to the metal.
So I think that the bad people that Homer was speaking of were actually the cops. See, I think that he threw the volleyballs over the fence, over the wall, but the police caught him, and then they, acted outside of their means and threw Homer in the trunk.
Yeah, because I think in my mind, I'm just thinking Fat Tony and his crew.
I mean, that's possible too.
It's a story we'll never know the answer to.
Sadly, that's true.
It's a question that will have no answer.
Like, who put the bump in the bump shabump?
Well, Bart steps on a scrapbook of Lisa's baby pictures, which is tied to his foot with his shoelace so he can reach the gas pedal. As War's Lowrider plays, Bart speeds out of town past a sign that says, "Now leaving Springfield, birthplace of Nelson." That's a great shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Bart drives through a Shelbyville, Ogdenville, and arrives at North Haverbrook, a city that brings to mind romance and intrigue.
Ooh. So Bart witnesses all the wonders that North Haverbrook has to offer, aside from a monorail, such as the world's largest moon-bouncy castle, and the ultimate fighting zoo, which shows an ape facing off against a mountain lion, and the Mylar Baggins comic book shop. And inside the comic book store, Bart finds a mint-condition talking hippie Hulk action figure from 1968. So the toy of Bruce Banner's alter ego wears a tie-dye vest and a peace sign necklace, and even talks, saying such phrases as, "Tune in, turn on, and Hulk out." And hey LBJ, how many pants you ripped today?
So it seems that North Haverbrook has it all, and Bart drives through the idyllic city center passing several groups of teens. You know, it's funny, we always talk about how there's no teens in Springfield, but there's plenty of teens in North Haverbrook.
That's right, that's where they all are. Maybe that's where the pedophiles go too.
Yeah, I see Jared from Subway over there, and former Congressman Matt Gaetz, and current president is over there too. Bart pulls up to a group of teenage girls, looking to impress them with his factory standard sound system.
Any of you ladies like stereo music?
I do. You look kind of young.
Yeah, I have that disease that makes you look like an old man, but they gave me medicine for it and I took too much.
That's cool. I'm Darcy.
I'm Bart Simpson. Who the hell are you? Oh, right. Darcy.
It's fun to get a nice callback to Bart's famous catchphrase.
Yeah. Who the hell are you?
Do you like stereo music?
I love stereo music. It's so much better than that crappy mono.
Yeah, the kissing music.
Ugh.
Because I got mono from kissing.
Of course.
And finally, after we've talked about her, there's Natalie Portman playing Darcy. Mm-hmm. You know, she was in a couple things, like, for instance, Hitler's Pawn, the Margaret Lambert story from 2004. She was the narrator.
Oh.
And let's not forget Sesame Street. She was in 3 episodes as Natalie Portman.
Ooh la la.
How about my favorite Natalie Portman performance, Paul McCartney, Dance Tonight, music video. She was Ghost.
Oh.
Do you have any other favorite Natalie Portman performances that you know off the top of your head and not looking at her IMDb page?
That time that she rapped with Chris Parnell.
Oh, that was pretty fun.
Yeah. Oh, she was in Annihilation, which is a horrible version of one of my favorite books. That's just for me. But Annihilation was a sci-fi movie from like 2018, and she stars in it. And it's not her fault, but the movie is like a horrible version of the book.
What about Paul McCartney, My Valentine, parentheses, Natalie Portman's version?
Oh, that's perfect.
12. Yeah. My favorite still is, of course, great performers, L.A. Noire, actress. Another video. Do you have a favorite Natalie Portman performance? And don't say Star Wars Episode 2, Steve, because that's my favorite.
Can I say Star Wars Episode 1?
Fine. I'm going to say this. It's probably because, again, we've talked about how she's our age, and I never watched The Professional when it came out in 94.
Mm-hmm.
But a couple years later, she did a movie called Beautiful Girls. It came out in 96. And I did see that in 96.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of, I think, where I first saw her.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen that movie in a long time, but I remember just being like, wow, this is like a great actress.
Mm-hmm.
And like she, as a, how old were we in 96, Steve?
15?
15. She was probably like 15 or 14 when she did the movie. I just remember like, wow, like she's the best actor in this movie with a lot of professional actors.
And it's okay for you to have a crush on her, because you're also 15, unlike the character in that movie.
Well, he didn't really, because she had the crush on him.
And it was more of a platonic thing.
Yeah. She was great in that. I loved, she's great in Mars Attacks. She gets to become the president. Spoilers.
That's true. I will say that I do enjoy her both in V for Vendetta, which is actually a really good movie, and Black Swan, also a good performance there.
Well, didn't she win the Academy Award for that, right?
Yes, and it also holds a special place in my heart because it's one of the first dates that my wife and I went to see in a theater.
Let's not forget her great performance in Closer, Steve.
Yes. I remember watching that a lot.
You mean just her performance in the movie?
Yeah.
What about as well Daco narrator in Bluey, one episode?
Oh, that she was great.
All right. Well, yeah, here she is, Darcy. Let's continue, Steve.
Alrighty.
Well, Bart and Darcy enjoy their time together as a new couple. They have dinner in the alleyway of an Italian restaurant as a waiter plays a romantic tune on the accordion, So both Bart and Darcy slurp up spaghetti in the style of Lady and the Tramp, but Darcy finds a dog at the end of the noodle. Bart and Darcy laugh as the mutt chows down on their dinner. Is the Lady and the Tramp bit, kind of done?
I would say yes, though maybe we can give it, some forgiveness. In 2007, it wasn't so done, but it is kind of tired, I think.
I was just wondering if there's, an adult film where they have, a double-sided dildo and they do that.
I'm sure Lady and the Lady, or Tramp and the Tramp, or Lady and the Tramp, I guess that works too.
There you go. If it hasn't happened, Steve, let's produce the film.
Alrighty. That we'll put on our Patreon.
But starring our actual Patreon, people that pay for our subscription. That's one of your tiers. You get to star in an adult film.
That's great. That's definitely worth $5 a month.
Oh, no, that would be the more expensive one, Steve.
Okay.
We got to buy a VHS camcorder because we're going to make it old school.
Ooh, nice. Yeah.
Vintage. And then the only place that will distribute the video, it'll be in the forest where kids have to find it.
Ah, yes. The Forest Pornography Factory. I love it. So, while enjoying a romantic walk in the sunset, Bart receives a call from Homer, who says it's a matter of life and death. He then asks the difference between ketchup and catsup, warning that his head will be cut off if he doesn't get an answer. So Bart throws his phone into the woods and walks away.
So surely, Steve, you did do the research on this one, right? What ketchup versus catsup is?
I did, and from the website thekitchen.com, they say that it's actually the same thing. They're both westernized versions of a condiment known as fish sauce in China, and that's why you'll often see it listed as tomato ketchup, because tomato is not the original product that it was made from. There's different people saying that it's from mushrooms, or I've also heard bananas, which are very common. But yeah, ketchup and catsup are the same thing. And what's funny is that website, thekitchen.com, actually uses a GIF of Burns in the grocery store saying that he's in over his head but looking at ketchup and catsup. So that's funny.
Have you had the banana ketchup?
I haven't. I really want to try it because I love bananas and I like ketchup okay, and I think I'd enjoy it.
Not for me.
Fair enough.
Way too sweet. Didn't like it. And I blame you.
That's fair enough.
So Bart and Darcy attend a drive-in movie which shows a teenage couple making out in an abandoned sawmill. The jock in a Letterman's jacket assures his girlfriend that there hasn't been a murder there for 10 years. 10 years exactly to the date. The on-screen couple kiss until they are greeted by a shadowy figure with a chainsaw. They recognize the killer as the kid they locked in the cemetery in the first grade.
So after they scream at all the gore in the movie, Marcy tells Bart that she really likes him. And that may be such a girl thing to say, but Bart doesn't seem to mind when Marcy kisses him. And they continue to make out, ignoring a scene where the quarterback goes to a psychologist, only to be attacked by the chainsaw-wielding Freud lookalike. They continue to lock lips in the car, with Bart turning over a picture of Milhouse, so his prying eyes don't judge them. The young couple then sit on the hood of the car, taking a view of the city, when Darcy has a big idea.
Bart, let's get married.
What?
Why not? We've made out. It's not right to make out with somebody if you have no intention of marrying them. I mean, you're not a jerk, right?
No, I'm not, but...
Then it's settled.
Oh, man, I must be the first guy who was ever pressured into marriage. Look, Darcy, I like you. I really do. It's just, I'm only 10 years old.
What?
I'm really sorry.
Bart, I've been keeping a secret from you, too. I'm pregnant.
Do you think Natalie enjoyed doing the cartoon? What?
I mean, that's pretty great, yeah.
I know, that you get to do that cartoon. What? It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think the only thing that might be better would be a yoink, but a wah is pretty great.
Steve likes a yoink.
I love a yoink. And a tug.
Well, I can't believe Bart got laid.
I know. Go Bart.
I think we should just turn off the episode now, Steve. I can't handle this preteen pregnancy.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's pretty heavy.
Do you think this episode would be better if they reversed Bart and Lisa's storyline?
It kind of make more sense.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, I could see Bart, pretending to be Native American.
Right. And Lisa being pregnant.
Yeah. Why not?
Oh, wait, no, that's Darcy's pregnant. Okay, reverse it. Darcy's Lisa, Milhouse is Bart, and Bart is Homer. And Homer is Marge, and Marge will be Chalmers. Now, figure the story out in your head.
Chalmers is Poochie is Scratchy.
No Poochie.
Oh, then I don't get it.
I think we should continue the episode, Steve. Bart runs off, but when Darcy looks outside of the window, she sees him in the driver's seat of the car, trying to start the stalling engine. So at the North Haverbrook courthouse, Bart is worried about becoming a father. Dorothy assures him he couldn't possibly be the dad since, they never got close to intercourse.
Well, Bart assumed that since they held hands and kissed at the same time that it was possible, but that just highlights that Bart is actually 10 years old. Darcy thought that he was just stupid, but as he informs her, he is 10 and stupid. He then asks about the actual father, and Darcy reveals that he's a Norwegian exchange student, and she says that he has long gone, going back to his native Norwegia, proving that she, too, is pretty stupid.
So Darcy's plan was for Bart to marry her so her child would have a dad, since she's very religious in that specific manner. So Bart asks how religious she could be if she got herself pregnant, to which Darcy replies by slapping him in the face. Like, that is such a sitcom joke.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if there was a live studio audience, which there usually is in The Simpsons, but they don't record their reactions.
Of course.
It frightens the animators. But, there would have been a woo after Bart said that, and then
especially on Fox.
Yeah. But luckily for them, the government employee behind the counter has some advice.
Marrying you was my only hope. When my parents find out, they're gonna kill me.
Look, Darcy, maybe there's still a way we can get married.
How? You're just a kid.
Maybe I shouldn't be telling you this, but there is a state where the marriage laws are a little looser. Utah.
Utah? Home of America's most powerful weirdos?
Our lives could be so wonderful there.
I do like the lady behind the counter. It's just funny. She's eavesdropping and telling kids how to get married.
It's both helpful and awful.
Steve, have you ever heard of the state Utah?
Yes. Sadly, I was born in it. It's true.
That's fine. Okay. Well, Steve, I've visited Utah. Utah would be a great state if it wasn't for those weirdos.
And of course, they're referencing the powerful weirdos of the Mormon Church, or the Church of the Latter-day Saints, as you might call it, who include the Utah's governor at the time, Gary Hebert, and of course, remaining a reasonable Republican, Mitt Romney.
Steve, we can't really talk bad about Mormons, because a lot of Mormons are Simpsons fans.
That is very true.
So they probably hate this episode because of religious beliefs. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Bart imagines his life in the Beehive State, skating down the mountains and through the Great Salt Lake, scooping up the water and rinsing his mouth out with it. Maybe he's got a sore throat, Steve. That's why he did it that way.
Yeah.
He then arrives in a log cabin where pregnant Darcy stirs a pot on the stove while holding a baby. She lovingly calls Bart an extreme husband and an extreme father. Bart thinks that this vision of the future is awesome. I like how Bart also is like envisioning more children with her.
Yeah, it's very sweet in a weird kind of way. Because it shows that he's not in it just for the looks or anything, because he wants to start a family with her. So that's something.
Yeah.
So at the Capital City Convention Center, folks are filing in for the National Tribal Conference. At 10 a.m., Lisa is speaking, followed by an event entitled TP versus Wigwam. The debate continues. Again, some more possibly problematic stuff. Lisa nervously addresses a packed auditorium, saying that the people of her tribe lived in harmony with the land. She then describes the tribe's dietary habits, but realizes that the truth needs to come out.
Eating mock buffalo steaks made from peaceful turnip roots. The environment, dignity, corn god. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't do this. I made it all up. There is no Hitachi tribe. I took the name from my microwave. But surely you can forgive a little girl who... Ah!
Wait! Although she is not one of our people, this young lady has shown the courage we Native Americans cherish. And who can blame her for wanting to be one of us? We have a noble heritage and cheekbones to die for.
Yeah! I'm not Native American either. I just ski a lot.
I'm Japanese.
Well, I'm an Aborigine.
I'm two midgets in a costume.
What? Not you, fibbing bear!
You know, my great-great-grandmother was an Indian. I guess I should have mentioned that before, huh?
Okay, I know it's problematic. You can't use the term midget anymore. But I thought that part of the joke was pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird because there is, like, some certainly problematic stuff in here, but, like...
In this episode, yeah.
But yeah, that is kind of funny.
Again, they could have got rid of that, because even in 2007, we weren't saying that.
Yeah.
Referring to little people. It should have actually been, like, two little kids. Like, we're just two 10-year-old boys.
It's an easy way to solve that joke. You're totally right. Kind of makes it funnier, actually.
Yeah. And I do like kind of Homer at the end. It's like, oh yeah, I guess I should have mentioned that part was pretty good though.
Mm-hmm. So on a barren desert road, Darcy tells Bart that she needs some strawberries, and Bart is sure that they sell them in Utah, but Darcy wants them now. Bart reminds her that they're in the middle of the desert, but she yells that she needs strawberries. And Bart remarks, "Take my wife, please," finally understanding the classic Henny Youngman joke, even if that means another slap from Darcy.
Lisa and Homer return home where Marge has found a letter in Bart's room addressing Homer and Marge. The letter explains that Bart is headed to Utah with Darcy to get married. And FYI, she's pregnant. Homer laughs, saying the Simpsons men get the job done. But Marge isn't so amused. Homer wonders what kind of tramp gets knocked up before she's even married, and Marge reminds him that she did. Homer amends his statement, saying that modern science has proved the link between sex and pregnancy.
Although RFK has questions about that. Marge thinks to follow the charges on Homer's credit card to find Bart and Darcy. She sees that in Colorado, his card was used to buy $200 worth of bubblegum. And Homer claims that purchase as a driver drops off a crate of Rocky Mountain Chew. And she then sees a charge for Dingle's Berries in Provo, Utah. So she got her strawberries. And Homer questions why he would go to Utah when Darcy's parents arrive at the house very concerned.
Why would I go to Utah? I love booze, caffeine, and monogamy.
Then that must be it.
Our daughter says she's run off with your son.
Did she mention she was knocked up?
No!
Oops, sorry for the spoiler. So, how many brides will you be marrying today, Mr. Simpson?
Just one.
What, are you gay?
Stop the wedding! Bart, you're too young to get married. You still make me check the closet for the boogeyman.
Well, maybe I found someone else to do it for me. Someone who will do a more thorough job.
I don't care how young he is. He took advantage of a girl 5 years older than him.
Utah karate!
Homer spoiling the surprise to Darcy's parents was pretty good.
Yeah, and even though it is, like, problematic, the joke of the priest being like, "One woman, what are you, gay?"
I think even now, 2007, you couldn't use that term. Or you couldn't say that. But is that such a stereotype, too? Like, is there so many people in Utah that have, so many men that have so many brides? Do the Mormons practice that?
I don't think it's as widespread as, like, you'd have people believe. I think there is probably, like, communities that do believe in that, but I really think it's antiquated, and I don't think that Big Love is a documentary or whatever.
Well, so with Utah karate, Bart performs a leaping kick towards Darcy's father, but falls short, landing on his ass. Darcy tells her dad to lay off the Bart man, explaining that he isn't the father. She only wanted to marry Bart to avoid the shame from her parents. Darcy's mom isn't ashamed. She's actually thrilled. She is also pregnant, and they can lie to the neighbors and say that she's having twins. Everyone is happy, and Darcy bids Bart farewell. I do like the sloppiness of this wrap-up. It's so, like, how would a sitcom deal with this? Like, in a serious way, but as a cartoon, like, I'm also, like, pregnant.
And she's just happy at, yeah. So Bart takes Darcy by the hand and tells her that in 50 years, she might see him walking down the street and wonder if it's actually him. And he vows to make an armpit fart noise to ensure that he'll know it's him. So the ill-fated couple share one final laugh together. And that night, as Homer is tucking him in, Bart confesses that he really thought that he and Darcy would be like a real married couple, but instead, they just ended up fighting all the time.
So he then admits that he was briefly looking forward to being a dad. Homer assures him that someday he's going to be a great father, and Bart replies that one day Homer will be a great father too. They take one last spin with Bart driving as Homer sings public domain songs in the car. And that's the episode.
Oh boy, we did it. We wrapped it up, and let's take a break, think about what we saw, and we'll talk more about Little Big Girl.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
And we're back. Let's finish up our discussion of Little Big Girl. We'll share our thoughts about the episodes, what we liked, what we didn't like, and even what we're watching next week. But before we do all of that, we like to give each other some gifts. Something for our host to enjoy from this episode. And Craig, I didn't leave you. I got you plenty of stuff, so I got you a gift certificate to the Flammable District, so you can get some of Kevin's kindling, some methane from Mike, and some Just Match Heads. But should you get that fire out of control, I also got you a box of wet ones, which I know you enjoy. And just for the hell of it, I also got you a sack of deflated volleyballs, so you can create your own chaos.
I'm going to take all that stuff and put it in my storage unit.
Okay, that's fair.
Steve, I hope you don't do the same, because I got you an action figure. Well, actually an array of action figure. I got you Hippie Hulk, and they did other Marvel action figures of that ilk at the same time. Here's Communist Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Here's Republican Rhino. I mean, the Rhino, it's a Spider-Man villain. He's Republican, so it's just Rhino. And here's
but in name only.
Yeah, here's Draft Dodger Daredevil.
I mean, he's got a fair excuse.
Yeah.
He's a lawyer.
Here's Last Man Out of Saigon Spider-Man.
Jesus.
And Richard Nixon as Stan Lee.
I am not an Excelsior. I like it.
Okay, so you got those action figures. And how about here's some Land O'Lakes butter.
I do like butter.
Here's a book of Lisa's baby pictures. And a spaghetti dinner with a dog.
All right.
That's it.
I appreciate it, Craig. Thank you. Alrighty. What made you laugh in this episode?
We talked about the Spunkler bit, which, it's just a lot of fun with the Mr. Burns and the Benny Goodman Mugget camera. I enjoyed Homer because he just had like little quips here and there, but like the beginning with him asleep and just doing shouting answers was fun, and then which was really funny. And then him at the end telling Lisa that he had Native American great grandmother. Him also trying to cut off Marge when he's teaching Bart to drive. And some sign gags too, with like Bart going down in the Flammable District with the extinguisher, Lenny and Carl talking about their mom, and Bart in the car in his imagination and dunking a basketball holding onto the rim with the car on his feet. Some of my favorite bits, but I think I'm going to actually give MJ, I know this is weird to say, but I'm going to give it to Homer because of just those one-line jokes, like especially at the end spoiling Darcy's parents about the pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of had the most jokes, unlike Skinner and Chalmers. How about you?
Yeah, I think that Homer had a lot of funny things. I really liked him creating chaos in the prison yard and just needing Bart to help him run his errands. His dynamic with Bart about saying, like, one day I think you'll be a good father, and Bart saying that someday you will be too. If I'm going to give an MVJ, I'm going to give it to the concept of fire. Just because that fire gag, the kind of Rube Goldberg-esque run of gags from the chick going through all that thing to a falcon getting caught by an eagle and then dropping the chick and goes through the chimney. Like, it's so elaborate and so silly that is like the highlight of my episode. So yeah, I think that's going to be my MVJ. But let's just get into it. Let's just talk about what do you think about this episode?
First off, I want you listeners to know I know this is a cartoon and things can be made up and not real world solutions. That being said, everything in this episode is so anti-Simpsons in my mind. The logic of this episode, like Lisa should know way better than to just perform this cultural appropriation. It's also like marginalizing a group of people to basic stereotypes that Lisa, is putting forth. There's no message of like, this is wrong, stop doing this. it just is like Lisa just doesn't want to have a bad grade. And I think our Lisa, true Lisa, would not stoop to this level. I think this should have been a Bart storyline. Then it would make sense. But Lisa, not whatsoever. She would actually take time and do research like, okay, why are we so boring? There has to be something to that. And she would dig deeper. So the fact that she just took the easy way out, and to learn her lesson. And then Bart's storyline is so absurd in like a sitcom way. Like this episode should have been what's the one with Kirk Cameron?
Growing Pains.
This is a Growing Pains episode. Like teenage character that we know may be sexually active.
Mm-hmm.
Like it could have been Family Ties. It could have been, what's her name? Tina Yothers could have been pregnant.
Right.
By Tom Hanks. Who knows? It's one of those like they wanted to have a Bart kind of like a teenager-esque episode, but Bart's not a teen.
Mm-hmm.
And like the logic that the mayor of Springfield would just allow a 10-year-old boy to have a driver's license. I think that has to come down to like a state issue, not a city issue.
That's true. And he just had the license in his pocket too.
And then I feel like they're also making fun or neglecting teen pregnancy as like a joke.
That is also very true. They just kind of laugh it off.
As much as I like the stupid cartoon ending of like Darcy's mom being pregnant, and so it's a joke convenience, but like it's a serious subject, and I don't think The Simpsons is a show that really should be tackling teen pregnancy jokes.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm here for. I just felt this episode could have been a Family Guy episode. Like, give it to someone else. This doesn't feel Simpsons-y to me. So if I had to give this a ranking, Natalie Portman, of course, is in this episode, but I'm not going to rank it out of one of her movies. I just asked Google, Natalie Portman fun facts. And here's a fun fact. Natalie Portman was discovered at a pizza restaurant at age 10. So I thought, pizza's good. But how would I rank this out of pizza toppings? So I went to a website called tastingtable.com, and they have a 1 through 30 of like worst to best toppings. And at 30, they put broccoli down as the worst. Which, broccoli can be kind of offensive on a pizza.
Sure.
If you use too much of it. And of course, number 1 would be pepperoni.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's pretty obvious. But I'm kind of conflicted about this article because I'm scrolling through. What do you think the number 2 best topping of pizza?
Would it be mushroom?
You would think mushroom.
Maybe olive?
I will let you know. Mushroom is all the way at number 12.
What?
Yeah, and olive is at number 5.
Huh. So first of all, I would say that my hot take would be that mushroom should be number 1. I know that pepperoni is the right answer, but for me, mushroom is number 1. But to put that so far down is wild. Well,
okay, here's the wild part. Here was number 2 is from this website, and it's going to be controversial because it is pineapple. So take this website with a grain of salt, or a grain of oregano or basil.
Very nice.
Because number 3 is jalapenos.
Mm-hmm.
But see, I think of like more traditional, which is number 4, sausage. I feel like that should be more in the top 3. But I think, to me, it should be like pepperoni, mushroom, olive, sausage, those things. Anyways, so that being said, I'm going to have to rank this out of pepperoni to broccoli. And I'm going to have to say that this episode is number 29, eggplant.
Okay.
Although eggplant on pizza, never had, but I think it would work out fine. Also controversial here. Number 28 is spinach, which I think is great on pizza.
I love spinach on pizza. Yeah, it's great.
27 is tomatoes.
It's a weird list.
Artichokes is 25. Artichokes is great on pizza.
I love artichokes on pizza.
Chicken is at 24.
What?
All right, here's one that you'd like. Number 23. Never done this before, but potatoes.
I've had it. It's not bad. Like a golden potato, it works.
Oh, you know what? Here's number 21, arugula. I'm going to put that because I don't like arugula as it is.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. And also they usually put it on like raw, and it just is a weird concept like for pizza.
This is such fascinating talk. It should be deleted, and it probably will be. Number 20 is beef. Beef I don't like on a pizza.
No, that's sad to me.
Yeah. Okay, anyways. So out of those, yeah. So 30 is broccoli. I'm going to say that this one is 31, and that's cum.
Ooh, that should be number 1.
Yeah, this episode, it's a skip for me. Sorry, Natalie. But Natalie actually voice acting was great on this episode. So
yeah,
and it is your birthday, so you get a pass this once. How about you, Steve?
Craig, I am really surprised by this episode because if you told me that there was an episode where Bart nearly gets married to a pregnant girl, and then there's a Lisa B plot, I would say I hate the Bart story, and whatever Lisa's story is, I'm down. And I feel the exact opposite. I have no real issue with Bart's story. It's not great, and it is very sitcom, and it is kind of stupid. But compared to Lisa's story, it's fun, it's fine, it's great, it's a fun adventure. I don't know that it needs to be done, and it is very weird. I think you make a good point about wanting to make a teenager episode with Bart, and he's just not a teenager. I don't want to remove the cultural insensitivities, but just the fact that it's Lisa committing those cultural insensitivities shows how out of tone this episode is with The Simpsons as a whole. Because yeah, Lisa wouldn't be doing this. That's just weird. I like some of the wackiness of this episode, but then I think it takes it too far. There was like 6 minutes into the episode where Bart gets his license and he has some fun and the fire's happening. Like that stuff I thought was really cool. And then about the second half of the episode, I just kind of tuned out. It wasn't that great. So yeah, this is also a skip for me. I think I enjoyed it a bit more, but it is kind of not great. And I feel like the bad outweighs the good. So I am going to say pass. So the age of consent in Utah is 18 unless a minor who is 14 or 15 can have sex with a person that is less than 4 years older than her. So in that case, Darcy could have had sex with Bart because he's not 4 years older than her, which is just weird. So out of 15, I'm going to give this a 2, which I don't know what that means in the grander scheme of things, but it's just that this episode wasn't great. So that's a skip for me. Hopefully next week's episode will be better. And Craig, I'm going to pull an audible. Seeing that it is Natalie Portman's birthday, I thought we should celebrate her some more by doing another episode that she was in.
That sounds great, because she did what? Another episode?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a whole Simpsons Natalie-orama. Natalie Portmanteau, if you will.
There you go. Natalie Portmanteau. Okay. What season is this from? I'm assuming it's after season 18.
Yes, it's season 24, episode 1. No, not that episode 1.
A Darcy Menace.
It sounds like Al Bundy's worst nightmare.
Yeah. This one's called Little Big Girl. I'm going to say this episode's a sequel, and it's called Diminutive Large Woman.
Interesting. That sounds like a fascinating episode. However, that is incorrect. The title is Moonshine River. What do you think that's about?
All right. Well, I think this is a sequel to the episode we just reviewed, and Darcy has had the child, but she still wants Bart to raise the kid. So she found out that both her parents had like $1 million insurance policy on themselves for like death, right?
Mm-hmm.
By accident. So she'll be like a millionaire if her parents die. So she enlists Bart's help to off her parents so that her and Bart can have the money and live a happy life together, raising their children.
Wow.
In the B story, Lisa offends the entire continent of Asia.
Given this episode, that seems possible, but sadly no, Craig, that is not correct. In Moonshine River, Bart seeks out his long-lost love, Cletus's daughter, who has started a new life in New York City, and Lisa wants to take in a Broadway play, but ends up performing Shakespeare in Central Park.
That old story? We've done it plenty of times.
Yes. Do you have any memory of this episode?
Call me Rum Tum Tigger, because I don't have memory of this episode. Because memories.
Yeah.
It's from Cats, memories. Okay. Actually, I think I kind of do. This got the Splunkler girl. We've seen episode right with Bart and new girl herself, Zooey Deschanel as Cletus's daughter, right? Or have we not reviewed that?
I don't think we have, although we did have Zooey Deschanel as herself in the Court Girl in the recent episode, of course.
But yes, I might have remembered this. How about you?
I remember hearing of it, and because it's a kind of a recollection of all of Bart's former lovers, but I don't know that I've ever seen it, so I'm excited to check it out. And I'm also excited for you all to check out our episode about it, and thank you so much for listening this week. You can always reach us on the socials at 138simpsons@gmail.com, or on Instagram or YouTube at 138Simpsons.
I know you're listening to us on Patreon or maybe YouTube, but if you're on YouTube, go over to patreon.com/annoyedgruntboys and sign up. It's all free.
Free.
And we want more listeners to subscribe, and then eventually there will be a page here with more fun adult content.
Ooh, we made it this time.
Well, not like
yeah,
sex adult stuff, but more like, movie talk.
It's like the McNeil Lair Hour.
Non-Simpsons podcasting. That's what we'll say that.
Yes.
Go to tpublic.com/user/annoyedgruntboys for some Annoyed Grunt Boy merch, like a t-shirt or a hat.
That's right. All right. Thank you so much for listening. For this week, I've been Annoyed Grunt Boy Steve.
And I've been Annoyed Grunt Boy Craig.
And remember, turn on, tune in, and Hulk out.
It's not right to make out with somebody if you have no intention of marrying them.
Where do you think you're going?
I'm pregnant.
Grandpa out!
Show's over. Let's go.
Get me some coffee.